have not seen co-workings going to this milestone of 16 centers with more than 2,000 people now, and still bootstrapped and profitable.
There's always a cycle in business. That's one. So you have to catch the right cycle. If I'd leased all these spaces when the rent was at the highest, I would be probably shutting down today. Look at the stock market. When your driver's buying shares, it's time to sell.
I've been an entrepreneur, and it takes a hell lot of understanding of the long-term consequences of what we are doing today. So how do you time it right when this pivot has to be done?
Nobody's going to pay me money if they don't like what we provide. I'm a chartered accountant by profession, but I started my life as a tax expert, which I realized very quickly had no future in our country. If you don't take risk, you don't get rewarded.
Hello everyone, and welcome to my podcast where I talk to veteran and the most influential entrepreneurs and what they are building, how they have come till here. Today we have Sanjeev Laroya, and he is building Spacetime. His journey is amazing, and I wanted him to come here, talk to all of you how he has built things, how he is doing now. He has built Spacetime with 4 years. He have gone to 16 good centers and 20 CR in revenue, and rest we would love to understand from you, Sanjeev, how it's going, how you have started, what's your story. All the founders who are watching you, it's an amazing opportunity for them to learn from a veteran like you. So today let's talk about how you have come here, what intention you are building, how you're making it big in the co-working industry, more about Spacetime, everything we want to hear from you.
Thank you, Usha. Thank you for having me. The Spacetime journey was actually an accident. It was, I didn't set out to build a large company or anything. I was almost on the verge of retirement, and in 2019 I'd actually retired after 34 years of working.
Yeah.
And then suddenly the COVID this thing hit all of us and gave us a lot of time to reboot, to rethink what we are doing and how we are doing things. And I had retired actually, and so during the shutdown I was spending a lot of time with my family like everybody else, and with my son, and then also trying to see what to do with my office post my retirement.
Yeah.
So just struck to me that maybe I can just lease out the office now that I'm retired. And I said I'll design a nice office and I will lease it out post-COVID. In that process, I just got introduced to the idea of co-working. I visited some websites, and I suddenly realized that, well, maybe it's not a bad idea to make a start and see where this goes. So it wasn't some big. I was 57 years old, almost. And like I said, I had retired, so there was no big mission here. The idea was to set up something and see where it goes. So once the lockdown finished, I started constructing, and we built our first center in 2020 in October. We started in June. It was my own space, and I didn't need any permissions, and most people had left their offices during COVID.
Yeah.
So we started constructing, and then in October we opened our first center. And I think that was also the time when the people who wanted to actually come out and rejoin offices, they were looking for space. So we filled our first center in less than a week with no advertising, no need for any publicity or anything. Just people just saw our board and said, hey, I need a space to work. I've given up my office. So we filled that center in a few days. And then I realized my clients were telling me we need more space. So I realized the whole building seemed to be vacant. So I sent a message to all the landlords. I've been in that building since 91.
Was it also in South Delhi where your centers mostly are?
Yeah, this was in Greater Kailash, my own. So I called all the landlords I knew. I said, listen, your offices are vacant. I need some space. And it was also the right time to lease because, everybody had vacated offices.
And I think you saw the opportunity there, but other people, everyone was like, co-working is a bad business because a lot of people were leaving co-workings. because COVID, people were not really ready to come to the office, and they were scared, they wanted to be at home.
Absolutely. So if somebody had a running business, his revenue suddenly stopped, and he still had to pay rent to the landlord, and there was no, people didn't know how much this is going to last. And then, when fear starts and spreads, and it's a business breaker. So people didn't know whether they should continue and how long this is going to last. So it made sense for people who had already lost their customers to just give up.
Yeah.
For me, because I'm a chartered accountant, I understand risk reward, and I saw that I could lease spaces at a good time and a good rent, and I could get contiguous spaces, which is very difficult to get in South Delhi.
Yeah.
So just one opportunity where everybody are vacated, so we could merge offices, and the price was good, so I jumped at it, and so we built our first center, then the second center, and then customers kept coming back. Our people who were already there wanted to grow. Yeah. And so the business grew organically, and I kept making centers based on what the demand was. So we started in 2020, and we were lucky to get good leases, and we kept building centers. So there's been no looking back since then.
So whenever I talk to CAs, usually they are in fintech or that related field where they can really contribute those financial related knowledge that they have. But with you, and good that you mentioned, so even before space time, being a CA, how you have building things, if you can share that.
Yeah, like I said before, I just set out to lease my own office. And then post that, I saw the opportunity. And I also saw that, this is not a business about just space. I realized very quickly that the product here was flexibility. And, we are a country of startups. Lots of people are coming in. In fact, most people who are now leasing space are, India is full of entrepreneurs. Everywhere you see, and now that I'm in the business for 5 years, we deal with so many, and I'm really amazed at the level of entrepreneurship we have in this country. People are coming out, and 2, 3, 4 people just get together, and they have these ideas, and they want to. Not everybody succeeds, but at least the fact that people are trying to make to do businesses. So we deal with startups, and I realize that startups need flexibility. Yeah. Space anybody can provide, and there's no dearth of space. You see Delhi and Gurgaon, and Delhi still has some limitations of space, because we never built a city for commercial real estate. It just there's just too much demand in Delhi, but there isn't much. Yeah. But Gurgaon and Noida are flooded with space. But India is full of startups, and the startups need. Like what do we provide? We provide great flexibility. You can start work from today if you want. You can rent one desk if you want, or just a meeting room, or you can rent a whole table for a day or for a month or for a year, or you can rent a whole cabin or an office for a month or 10 years. So we don't let a client who, our clients need just one table for a day are as valuable as a client who takes. So we cater to everybody. Flexibility is the real product, and the second is proximity. So startup, the people who, their employees, the startup employees, there are lots of women. They want last mile connectivity, or to be as close to metros or public transport as possible. So most of our centers are in those spaces, and it's easier. They don't have to travel or take a auto or this thing or spend money. Yeah. They can just get off the metro station, walk within 2 minutes, and they reach one of our centers.
And I think your previous experiences as entrepreneurs and different businesses that you have done, I think that would also be contributing to now your understanding.
So I'm a chartered accountant by profession, but I started my life as a tax expert, which I realized very quickly had no future in our country, because at that time in the late 80s, nobody was interested in taxation. Yeah. So I started working for Citibank. I did some work for them for many years. I did my CA practice, but I got bored very, very quickly, and I realized that I wanted to be an entrepreneur, be on my own, not work for a company.
Right.
Then I became a stockbroker first. I did that for many years.
Interesting.
And then, during the 91 market boom, we were a stockbroking company and we did fairly well. And then we saw the whole crash of the early 90s where we lost everything. But it taught me one thing, and suddenly, you're making so much money. I was 27 then,
Yeah.
and then suddenly you lose it all, but you see so much of money being made and money being lost that you learn a lot about risk, and then it stops mattering that much. After that, it didn't. I'd seen a lot by the time I was 28, 30s. Then I said, okay, this business shuts, I'll move on to the next one. I started a travel company. I had no knowledge of travel, but I started a travel company. We ran it successfully for many years. We were a very large agency in Delhi. We were providing tickets to a lot of people.
Wow.
And then I realized somewhere that this model is also going to change because airlines were going directly to customers through their websites.
Yeah.
So I said, I don't see a very, very bright future for this industry. Commissions are going to come down. And so I said, why invest the next 20 years in doing something where you see the revenue streams are going to come down and there's going to be pressure on margins. So we moved I set up a destination marketing company.
So this pivot that you do, and I'll tell you because I've been an entrepreneur and it takes a hell lot of understanding of the long-term consequences of what we are doing today. So how do you time it right when this pivot has to be done? This industry-wise, obviously you understood that, the online things are coming, this might not work. But with a lot of founders, what they face is how long should we still be doing what we are doing and not become, not useful to other people? When should we pivot? When is the time is right?
Well, in my case, I trained to be a chartered accountant. I realized very soon that this is not what my calling was, and I was wondering what my calling is. And in the process, you have pressures and you need to put food on the table, you need money. So I started the stockbroking business. It ended on its own. I had nothing to do. The crash was so impactful that everybody lost so much money that I had to pack up. And then I was wondering what to do at the age of 30. I quit my practice, and so I had to pick a business, and I picked travel. Not a great choice, again, not something I was so passionate about, but circumstances, and I had a friend who wanted to enter it, and I said, okay, I'll partner you. We ran it very successfully, and then I realized that this is not my calling, and slowly I realized I have a good sales skill. And so I could set up a business, I could market products and all. So I started marketing some hotels. I took their all India rights and I started marketing. We ran that business very successfully for close to 20 years.
Wow.
And then I actually decided that, okay, 34 years is enough. And I have one son who's now 12 and a half, 13. So I wanted to spend time with him, and I'm a golfer. I wanted to play golf. So I quit everything, but the journey back to co-working was, again, that was when I started designing centers, and I design all the space-time centers. I realized that I didn't know that my clients told me that these centers are beautiful, and I had no clue because that was the only feedback I was getting. So they said you should build more like these, and then I realized that I had a sense of design that I did not know I had, and so that brought a lot of my interest in this. Otherwise, you can easily get bored at 57. So the fact that I design spaces and I can create a space out of nothing, and they look good, keeps me inspired and keeps me going. So to that extent, I've been lucky that I finally found my space where I love the work that I do now.
Yeah.
And it's a good business.
Yeah.
It's growing. India is, like I said, a startup hub. And Delhi being a very crucial part of the Indian startup scene. So the business has a good potential, and so we are growing.
Great. So I think a lot of founders need to just introspect and see what skills they are good at, and not just hop on everything that the ideas that they come on, or the opportunity that they get, but just to see where they can contribute more, like how you saw, right, when with your friend, where you can contribute, what is your strength, how you can contribute more, and then maybe, and obviously the co-working bit, the designing. When I have been to one of your spaces, and I see how breathable, how open they are, how much plants there are. So that is beautifully designed. And that was the first question when I met you. It's like, this is beautifully designed, and you were like, I have done it myself.
See, Usha, I think when you're older, your perspectives are different. If I was 25, 27 starting out,
Yeah.
I would, if I was doing the same business that I'm doing now, I would have a different approach. I would be like any young guy, okay, I'm setting this up in 4 years. I'm chasing a valuation and this and that, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that. And these are the guys who are making India grow, and rightly so. But having seen so much and such a long journey of almost now 39 years of working, I have a different perspective. So I am not chasing any big valuation. In fact, I told you I didn't even know that when I started this, where this is going. Yes, it's a good business, and yes, it has great potential, and Spacetime is a company that is growing and will continue to grow, hopefully.
Yeah.
But the perspective is that so it's exciting to start a venture at the age of 57.
Where most people think that we just want to retire and we have worked enough, we want to.
Yes, and and I had kind of semi-retired in 2013-14, and very little. When my son was born, I was just working 4-5 hours a day, and then I told you I had retired. Now back to 12-14 hours days. The work is like any startup, it's a lot of tough decisions you have to take, and we are a bootstrapped company. We have a very small team. We are just 10 people, so it takes a lot out of you. If I didn't enjoy what I was doing, it would be very tough. But since I love doing what I'm doing, and I don't have that, I'll make it grow. But I don't have that thing that my whole life depends on it, and this is what I have to do. Otherwise, I'm done. So I have a different perspective on business. We will continue to grow as long as we want and can. And the journey has been exciting, and hopefully it'll stay that way.
So does it scare you a bit whenever you see such co-workings like WeWork, 91, Springboard, and all these co-workings raising in millions, and then actually going to a point of like 16 or 20 centers and expanding?
So I think even in the co-working industry, there's two kinds of businesses. One, which are, of course, playing the volume game, want to get funded and then IPO or whatever. I'm not saying that Spacetime will not go that way or will not get an IPO. But, for us, the main concern is unit level economics. So I don't want to run a center. I mean, I'm 57. I use my own money to build it. And so I don't want to be in a situation where I want to expand beyond my limits or raise money from people and then just, use it without any. We have a very, very careful plan of, we want to build each unit, make sure that it's profitable before we go to the next one. So this is probably a slower journey. I could have said that if I had got funded earlier, I could have said, okay, let me build 30 centers this year. But we don't do that. We are more sure-footed. We want to build 500 to 700, 800 seats a year,
Yeah.
which is something that we can do, something that I can design and execute. I have a nice team. I have a good CEO who, once I build centers, I hand it over to him, and he takes care of the rest of the stuff. Now, so we are creating a good team, and we are using now a lot of tech to help us with all that. And then, interestingly, I had a friend, of 25 years, and I asked him to join 3 years ago, and he had just retired from Pepsi. After 30 years he was the CFO of Pepsi. So he was nice enough to invest in the company and also join me. So he lives in Dubai, but he's always having his meetings with people. He's the CFO of the company, so he takes care of the finance and all those aspects. I restrict myself to designing, leasing new spaces, prospecting new spaces, leasing them, and executing, doing them, and then hand them over to my team to run. So we've been lucky. Things have been good. We have a reasonably good occupancy.
So a lot of people, and specifically with founders, I interact with them a lot with the kind of community I run. So a lot of founders say, Usha, we have great ideas, but we do not have a co-founder right now. Or in few cases, there are co-founders, but there is ambiguity of, what the roles, and that really creates a lot of clashes. So what do you...
You mean between co-founders or?
Between the co-founders, because the roles were never clarified, right? Like how you are saying, you are making it sound very easy because you have so much of experience dealing with people.
Yes, and fortunately, Manu, who's the CFO, is almost my age. He's also seen a lot of, he's seen a lot. So he keeps me in check. Sometimes when I get too excited about, doing some risky project or something where we're not sure of what revenue streams are going to be, he keeps telling me that you better hold your horses. You're getting too excited at your age. It's not good. So he keeps me in check, and sometimes that's good. So I pause, and like a year ago, he told me that, maybe we are going too fast. So just slow down, and maybe just let's take a 1-year pause and just talk to our clients, and let's see how they see us. And let's not just keep constructing. So we did that. I heard him. I said, yeah, you make sense. And so we paused our new projects for a year. We talked to our customers. We set up some new systems. We brought in some technology. We built our own app. We did that. And then we hired a few consultants to look at us, to look at our competition, to tell us what we are doing right, what we are doing wrong, how our competition is doing. So it's always good to get that feedback, and then, just have another go after where you are. So we are at that stage now. We restarted new projects and stuff like that. But they're always based on whether it makes sense, rather than, I need to have so many centers by so-and-so. So we are not in a race. We don't want to be. We just want to be growing. And I think the biggest thing is that we want more and more startups to work. So we want to help the startups, provide them as much as flexibility as possible, and grow with them. And then
So these kind of startups that, and obviously you running so many centers, you keep interacting with these startup founders. What do you think? I mean, you have seen a trend of what kind of companies are right now growing, and what kind of help they usually seek other than the space.
So I think startups are everywhere, and it's amazing that they are really doing a great job. And we haven't yet gotten into. I mean, we do plan to start some accelerator program or things like that, or have some. In this year, we are planning to have some programs or something to get in, people who want to invest and to make them interact with, because we have access to a lot of startups and a lot of them work at Spacetime.
Yes.
And these are lots of digital marketing companies and lots of tech companies or people who are building on AI platforms or stuff like that. So that's in our plan in the future. And we also do plan to eventually invest in some of these startups if we can, either financial investments or we can give them space at no cost. So we do have those plans, and
because
hopefully.
Startups, when they are obviously starting, they do not have resources. So if we can help, and investment is not, the money is not the only resource that they need, but the space, the community, the other founders, the mentorship. There are so many other things that if we can help them with it, it really goes a long way.
Absolutely. So at Spacetime, we are very conscious of this and as a responsibility. And in fact, when we decide pricing for a client, I keep it in mind that this is a startup. And so we are very careful, and we do provide them some additional benefits and probably even lower rates than we would normally like to provide. But we do keep in mind that we are dealing with startups and they need that initial push and this thing. So we do all that.
So I even heard this, and correct me if I'm wrong. The employees right now that you have, a lot of them are absorbed from like earlier when you used to work with them. So those employees were never, let go of. You absorbed them here.
Yes, so when I was doing my other businesses, I had people who were working for me for 35 years, 30 years, and 25 years. And you just don't tell those people that, hey, listen, I'm retiring. So do something. So we had more than 30 employees. And they knew that I was planning to retire. So obviously those who could get jobs or whatever, they had enough time. I mean, I didn't shut down like from tomorrow. I had planned it. So I told them a couple of years that we are going to shut down. So most of them found spaces to work, but some of them didn't. And then but I have this thing that I don't have this thing to fire anybody or just don't come. So we continued to pay. Even after I shut down the business, I continued to pay their salaries, and then COVID hit. So that carried on for a year and a half. And since I was paying their salaries for a year, and then when COVID hit, there was no way that I would stop, because that would have been really brutal. So I continued through COVID to pay and they were like 5-6 people. But then when I started this business, these same people were like huge assets, because I could trust them. They had worked for me for 35 years. In fact, my current CEO, the one who looks after the entire operations, he was with me for over 30 years. And then he couldn't get a good job in COVID. And when I started this business, I told him, I said, listen, I can hire you, but I just can't, there's no way I can pay you your old salary. I just don't have the revenue. I'm starting something new. I don't even know where this goes. I can't make you any promises. And I don't know what I can't afford your salary, but I can pay you. He quit and left and joined somewhere, but then he got, when COVID happened, he got laid off. Then he came back and he said, listen, I have no source of income. I said, I'm starting something. I don't know where this goes. No promises. I'll hire you back. But this is all I can pay you in your first 6 months. He said, doesn't matter. Whatever you can pay me, I'm fine with it. So he came on board for obviously less than 1/3 of his initial salary. And then he's a very hardworking guy. He now heads our sales and he looks after our operations. And it took him 4 years to get back to his original salary. But I promised him one thing. I said, one day we will get back there. And so we are. It's been interesting. And these people are a huge asset. I can trust them. And now they have different responsibilities in the company. And I can trust them that they will, they think it's their own company, and they really put their heart out.
And I really feel that founders, they need to have this thoughtfulness and responsibility of sort for people who have been loyal with them, and just giving back to the society in some way, right?
Yeah,
So
I
I think
mean,
that is really amazing to see that.
yeah, it's a responsibility, and I think uh, you know, these people who work that long with one company,
Yeah.
they really truly deserve it. Because today I'm told that, even though I haven't experienced, I'm told that the young generation of today, they are very restless, and they change jobs every 1, 2, 3 years, or
The
they
Gen Zs, you
they
heard about
yes,
it.
and then a little bit more, or a little this thing,
Yeah.
and they would go. But you might make a little more money, but you will never really. I mean, it's okay to change 3 or 4 jobs in a career, or 5 times. It's good for you. You learn a lot and get a diverse this thing. But I think the attrition rates are very high these days, and people leave for very flimsy reasons.
Yeah.
You say something a little harsh, and then it's over. So,
Yeah. The tolerance level has gone very low right now, where people, I mean, in a
Or
good
chasing
way,
money.
they're
Yeah.
they're not, but they're also thinking about their mental health. But again, there has to be a balance, because obviously there is work where you have to be accountable. For example, if I'm working somewhere, or if I'm employing somewhere, I have certain deadlines to close, right? I have a project to deliver to the client, and client would not be always understanding of why we are extending the deadline, because someone
True.
could not be there. So I think that
when I
accountability also.
when I did my CA, we were like a bunch of guys who did it together, and most of my friends joined. Somebody joined Pricewaterhouse, somebody joined Citibank, somebody joined something, and all these multinationals and all. And so one of our friends, he went to, I mean, I'm talking about late 80s. So the salaries were 5,000-6,000 in those days, but that was a lot of money in the late 80s. People will probably not be able to understand, but 5,000-6,000. And so this guy joined some state trading corporation or something like that in Mumbai on a retainer or something which was 500. And we thought, why would he do that? But that was so good. He learned treasury and stock trading and all that in those 2 years, and then he went on to be a very, very successful. He built a very successful career. So people need to be,
that learning
more mindful.
opportunities
Yes,
that this person got for his whole career.
yes. So he took a cut for the first couple of years, and instead of money, he chased experience and learning, and he went to the right place. But it held him in good stead for the rest of his career. So people have to choose well.
Yes, exactly. So with space time right now, I mean, we see what I would call it a really successful place to be with co-workings, because I have not seen many co-workings going to this milestone of 16 centers with more than 2,000 people now, and still bootstrapped, and you're profitable, right? Doing 20 CR of revenue. So what is next for next 5 years? Where do we see space time? What is your vision to make it grow into?
We have enough internal resources, that to grow at a certain pace, and if we want to exceed that pace, we will need to get some funding, and which we are always open to. No major rush or anything, but it's all dependent on a project. If we find any value in, I wouldn't just go to a city or whatever and lease a space of 100,000 square feet without knowing who's going to take it, because at the end of the day, you have to pay the rent to the landlord on the 7th of the next month, and you need to know where that money is going to come from. So we will continue probably to grow by 500,000 seats a year, and maybe grow to about 8,000-10,000 seats over the next 5 years, which is a very healthy business. And this is not a business which really needs an exit. So to say, most people who are into tech or something, they're interested in either getting funded or acquired, or this is a brick and mortar business, and if you it's like a business with. So if you have 1,000 clients, and from 1 seats to 100 seats, it's a real business, and it's a business where you get your revenues every month.
Yes.
So it's not a business that it's going to suddenly your 1,000 clients are going to leave you the next day unless there is some huge calamity or something. But otherwise, it's a great business, and it doesn't need an exit. It just, you can keep running it. If I can, as long as I can run it myself, I can run it. Otherwise, we can hire somebody to run it. It's a great business to be in. It's like owning real estate, or we have rights to sublet, right?
Yeah.
So earlier you had to own an asset to lease it out, and people made a lot of money leasing out their assets. Now you have the ability to lease an asset and invest in it and make a client base, and then further lease it out. So there's no dearth of supply.
Yeah.
There's no dearth of demand. The total available market share, I'm told, is growing at 15% a year. Already, I think 10% or 15% of commercial real estate that is taken up every year is being taken up by co-working spaces, and then we are also in the business of managed offices.
Yeah.
So we do shared offices, we do managed offices, because we don't want to leave any space. I don't want to only do managed offices because I don't want to leave that one person who needs that one desk for one day. I think it's my responsibility to provide flexibility to those people also, because eventually everybody will start from somewhere. Maybe just one person will take one desk and then he will build a large company tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
And
we want to be a part of his journey throughout.
Exactly, because there are a lot of companies, a lot of people who would bet on someone when they become big, like good 100, 200 people company. But what I see is you are right now helping those, even if it is a 1% company, so that they become actually bigger, and even then they would come.
I'll tell you an interesting story. So there used to be this guy, I forget his name. He came to Spacetime, and he wanted to start up something in AI, and at that time I didn't know AI had just started. I didn't know much about AI. Now we use AI everywhere. So I talked to him, and he said, "Listen, I want to work out of Spacetime, but I can't afford your price." I said, "Well, what can you afford?" So he said, "I can afford X." I said, "Okay, pay X. Doesn't matter. You're just one seat, and so it's okay. We have every co-working space has 10%, 15% of vacancy. No matter what you do, how popular you are, you can't sell everything because somebody's going, somebody's coming, and So I said, fine. You're an entrepreneur. You're starting out. We'll give you a space for what you. So we gave him a seat at half the price, which is what he wanted to pay. And a few days later, I was walking and I saw him in the meeting room. And we charge $1,000 an hour for our meeting room.
Yeah.
So I went to my center in charge. I said, how is he using the meeting room? It's very expensive. He says, sir, he's booked it. So I said, for how long? He says, he booked it for 4 hours. I said, that's 4,000 rupees. But that's the price he pays for a whole month.
Yeah.
So he says, sir, he's booked it. Now what do I do? So I said, fine. So I said, has he paid for it? He said, yeah, he's paid for it. So a few weeks later, I see him sitting in a meeting room again with some 2 professors or something, who later on I was told were some IIT professors or something. And he said, and I was worried for him. I said, he's booked the meeting room again for 6 hours, and that's 6,000 rupees.
Yeah.
So how is he going to afford it? But he continued to. To pay for his seat, and then he was booking these meeting rooms because he needed privacy or whatever, or he was meeting some important people. Now his LinkedIn profile says he is a founder and a serial entrepreneur. So I wish him well. But I think what I saw in him was that spirit of, even though it didn't work out, he had the thing. And I think he's going to become, whatever he does in life, he will one day become successful. So I see a lot of that in India. I see our people are very driven. They are hardworking. They are when I compare them to average people, like compare them to an average person in America today, I mean, the guy doesn't know anything. Other than his football or NBA score, he doesn't even know who's vice president is, they probably don't even know where India is, But we have a different set of people who are wanting to do well and better, and I think we have a lot in store for India. I can already see it. I can see the seeds. The plants will be there for everybody to see tomorrow, and the trees. But I can see a lot of seeds right now.
Understood. And like even with these founders that you, the one that you just quoted also, and whenever we see these startups, and we see startups outside, and obviously a lot of AI companies are coming overseas. We have a lot of good brains here. So how we can support them more, and what are the differences that you just said you saw in this US founder and then an Indian founder?
I think, if you see US, I think it's a country built by immigrants, because, it's a lot of people who they have great institutions, fantastic, universities. So they could bring in a lot of talent into America. And so US has been progressing for the last 70-80 years since the war, since the World War. So they brought in a lot of talent. They have great institutions, and those were the guys who truly built America. The rest of it is middle states are all rural. So it's the tech was developed by all the best. They could bring in all the best minds to work. So they're very good at that, and they're very good at marketing. India now is on the cusp. We are full of talent, very hardworking people, lot of very young people, a lot of them are educated. I mean, somebody told me yesterday that, and I couldn't believe it, that we have 20 lakh people who give the exam for being doctors in a year. Out of it, 130,000 doctors get admitted. And look at the number of engineers, it could be twice that much. And so we have a very young population, very, very, I think, highly skilled people who are driven and want to work hard. And I think if they get the right environment, the next 10 years probably belong to India. And I can already see that happening.
And for these founders, one of the things that they always want to ask a person who is doing it right, I would say, what is the metrics that that you really obsess upon? You are already a CA, you know the financial side of things, you have been into different businesses. So what are the metrics that they really need to be focused on and keep tracking so that they know that they are on the right path?
See, there's always a cycle in business. That's one. So you have to catch the right cycle. If I'd leased all these spaces when the rent was at the highest, I would be probably shutting down today. So you have to. One of the reasons why I jumped in was I saw great opportunity, because look at the stock market. When your driver is buying shares, it's time to sell.
Yeah.
Right. And when everybody's panicking and saying there is no future now, that's the time to buy.
Yeah.
So that being one, and second is being aware of the risk reward. If you don't take risk, you don't get rewarded. So you have to. I put all my money, 20, 30 years of life savings into a business, because I believed that it was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
My wife would disagree. She would now say that, you didn't tell me, but why? What the hell? I mean, who puts in life's earnings into such an uncertain business which you know nothing about, have never done? But you have to have some idea about risk reward. Yeah. You have to take some risks in life. They have to be calculated risks. They have to be very well thought of. Yeah. But if you don't take the risk at the right time with the right mindset, and of course there has to be a lot of passion in what you do. No shortcuts in business. Nobody's going to pay me money if if they don't like what we provide.
Yeah.
The customer is the king, but also the hardest person to please.
Yes.
And the price is always correct, because that's what your customers judge that they have to pay for you.
Yeah.
And it's not easy. If you see just the co-working space,
Yeah.
it's become like anybody who wants in India or anywhere in the world, there is a new thing and everybody wants to jump in.
Yeah.
But you have to decide whether you want to open a store or build a business. It's a different thing. If you want to get into co-working or this space and you say, okay, I'll set up one shop, then that's not a business.
Yeah.
Then you just have a space and you say, okay, you can lease it out. There's no need to get into a business mindset.
Yeah.
Unless you want to scale up and build from one to many. So that's why what I would say, that you have to be aware of the cycle, the business cycles. You have to be aware of your own ability to be able to give value to your customer, because otherwise you're not going to be successful.
Yeah.
It's the market is a very brutal place. You have to be able to deserve 50 rupees
Yeah.
for them to pay you 30, right?
Yes.
Nobody even pays you as much as you deserve.
Yeah.
People tend to normally pay you, they always discount you on what you deserve.
Yeah. That's the reality.
So to get a higher amount,
Yeah.
then what, you have to be really exceptional. So and there are no shortcuts to that. So it takes years and years of understanding your clients and the business, and we will keep evolving as we go. We don't claim that we know everything.
Yeah.
We will keep improving our designs, keep improving our service levels, keep giving flexibility to the clients or the things that they need, or whatever technology support. And as we go along, we will also learn. We are learning every day.
Yeah. And for people who are, I would not say who are in their 50s, or even with people who are in their 20s or 25, they're sitting with an idea and they're too afraid to just, take that leap. So any advice for those people?
I think if you have a calling, or if you have an instinct about something,
Yeah.
and you're willing to back it up with hard work, you have to have some ability, right? You can't just say, you have to have an instinct about what you want to do. You have to have some qualities of making it a strategy to take it to the market, and then execute it. And of course, ride the ups and the downs, which is always a journey, and then success will be there. I mean, as long as there's patience and perseverance and the ability to just, there will be waves you will have to ride. Nothing is smooth. There was a COVID, and then there is going to be some, tomorrow there might be a crash, and we don't know about what AI is going to bring. It's a huge challenge. And most people, even very wise people, cannot predict very accurately on what businesses are going to be hit. We can see some, we can have some idea, but we don't know what. And the second thing is that 5 years now has become a very large span of time.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot can happen in 5 years.
Yes, absolutely.
There was no AI 5 years ago.
Yeah. And now it's
So,
everywhere.
and now, everybody is using all kinds of AI platforms, whether they use it to write letters, or they use it to analyze financial statements, or to do whatever, or for whatever purpose they use it.
Yeah.
But and it's also going to take away some jobs. It's also going to create some jobs. So what kind of jobs it will take away? Which are the businesses which are going to be threatened?
Yeah.
People have to be careful.
Yes.
and wary. So don't get into something which for sure is going to end soon. I would say get into use AI as a platform, right? Use the technology to make things easier for people,
Yes.
because we seem to be a country which is very different from most others. If you see India today, the kind of businesses that are thriving, I'm not saying good or bad. The ability for somebody to get a soda at 12 o'clock at night delivered to his house for 16 rupees, it's something which is unheard of in any part of the world.
Yes.
Or to have your food delivered to you by a restaurant. And we have all these Blinkits and all these apps and all that, and it's crazy what they're doing. So I'm not going into whether it's making us lazy or not, but these are ideas that are solving some problems.
Yes.
They're employing a lot of people.
Yeah.
So we are getting there, I think.
Yeah. And personally for Sanjeev, what's next? Because right now, are you planning on just pursuing this, or there are new adventures that you have planned for yourself and with your son?
No, I'm 62 now, almost, and I don't plan working 15-hour, 10, 12, 13-hour days for the next 20 years. Yes, of course, next 5-7 years I do. But I also do plan to take out time, maybe groom somebody, maybe expand my team, get funded. Maybe someday if we get the right people who investors, and grow the business, but also take time off, and make sure the team performs, and maybe take a slightly back seat eventually after 3-4 years.
Yes, I understand.
Play more golf, spend more time with.
Great. Thank you so much, Sanjeev, for taking out time to talk to all the founders through obviously this podcast and helping them with the most important questions that actually I keep on getting. So I try to answer them with this podcast. So thank you so much for being here, taking out time to answer all these, sharing your journey with us, with everyone here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Usha. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.